Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we will continue with citizen participation by talking about direct and representative democracies. This is important because while there are some elements of direct democracy in local and state governments, we do not see many elements of direct democracy in the federal level. Instead, the federal level operates on representative democracy, and we will look more into how the system affects our political power as citizens. For the American Revolution, one of the colonists' main arguments for declaring independence from Britain was they did not have much say in deciding how Britain controlled the colonies. As the framers developed the Constitution, it made sense to give citizens a say in how the country operated, but they wondered how much power everyone should have. The framers could not imagine citizens ever directly making laws or revising the Constitution of their initiative. They thought the basis of the Constitution is its total exclusion of the people in actually governing. The framers believed only the people's representatives should be able to make actual decisions about public policies. This means for each House congressional district, there would be one representative that would create and advocate for legislation that helps their district. Essentially, that one person would work as a representative for their district, and they would be responsible for voting on bills and doing other congressional work. All of that legislative work is centralized for one person instead of everyone else living in each district. Now, of course, not all of us have the time to review every piece of legislation that comes up since we have other things going on in our lives. We leave it up to one person, along with their staff, to review legislation. But how does this representative democracy system on the federal level affect our political power as citizens? Although our Constitution was written in the name of we the people themselves have no explicit power at the national level. We can try to influence laws and policies, but only through indirect ways like protests, letter writing campaigns, social media, news editorials, financial contributions to candidates, lobbying, and testifying before Congress. It is not to say these indirect ways cannot succeed because they can affect a representative's decision on voting on specific legislation. However, when we talk about direct ways to create or modify federal legislation as citizens, nothing in the Constitution allows us to do that. But what about states? Almost all states have elements of direct democracy. Since 1900, nearly 14,000 proposed measures have gone directly to voters. Every state, except Delaware, requires that a majority of voters approve proposed state constitutional amendments before they take effect. In Delaware, the state legislatures can amend their constitution without any involvement by the people. Maine and Ohio allow the electorate to challenge laws passed by the state legislature, and if enough voters sign petitions, the challenged laws are voted on at the next election. Many Western states, including Arizona, California, Oregon, and Washington, allow the electorate to put proposals, including state constitutional amendments, on the ballot. Then a statewide vote determines whether they should be adopted. In 14 states, the electorate gets to decide every 10 or 20 years or so whether to hold a state constitutional convention. If a majority calls for it, the citizenry has the opportunity to fix defects in its existing constitution. New Hampshire has had 17 such conventions since 1789. Some states choose to replace their existing constitutions with a brand new one during a constitutional convention. It then must get approval from the electorate. So, we can see here that citizens have power to modify how their state constitutions are designed through amendments or making a new constitution through a constitutional convention, create new laws, and challenge existing laws. These institutional measures are important for making sure states do not stay static on something forever. What about in other countries? In other countries, referendums, which are votes on specific issues by the electorate, are increasingly common. It is common in Switzerland, Australia, and New Zealand. Sometimes a national referendum even gets international attention. In 2015, Ireland, a large Catholic country, voted to legalize same-sex marriage, and it was voted by a large majority too. In 2016, a referendum in Britain initiated that country's exit from the European Union, called Brexit. So, as you can see, people in the US states and many other countries have the power to help change the laws in their areas without always being dependent on a representative to create bills for them. After all, if your representative does not want to cooperate with you or does not think a specific issue you care about is important, you would want to find another way to make legislative change as a bypass method. As I said before, citizens can do this in states, but not at the national level. Perhaps the US Constitution needs to be amended to give citizens a way to participate in this representative democracy on the federal level. However that can be done, giving citizens more of a say in the federal legislative process can help our country not be too static and empower us to mobilize together to figure out how we can make national change. We will not have to solely rely on one representative in each of our congressional districts to make change. We can all have a part in it. Imagine voting on a federal ballot initiative in an election to enact a specific change nationwide, as we already do for statewide ballot initiatives. That is a way citizens can exercise their political power on the federal level. Lastly, I stated before in my previous videos that democracy is the best political system to foster civic engagement because it gives power to the people to help influence how their country functions. Democracy stays strong when people believe in it, but democracy also stays strong when the institutions give accessible ways for people to civically participate in all levels of government. If a politician does not follow the best interests of their constituents, as I stated before, institutions must provide a way for citizens to directly make legislative change that bypasses the need to go through their representative. That way, change is still possible and society does not remain static. Of course, having a citizen make a legislative proposal and mobilize people behind it takes a lot of time and effort, but if done right, the public can vote on it and potentially make that into a law. You will feel that sense of accomplishment when you make that legislative change happen through this direct democracy action. That is how you can take more control as a citizen in making legislative change. In my next video, we will continue to talk about citizen participation by talking about voting rights. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and turn on the post notifications so you will be notified when I post my next video. I appreciate your support. Remember, you are powerful, you are capable, and you are the changemaker our society needs. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you soon.